Good morning and welcome. This is KBC News Check. 7 days already past the month of December 2021. Hope you're having a fruitful morning. It's time to make a comprehensive check on the news making headlines and of course what is shaping things in the country. Of course, you know very well politics must be on the agenda, and that is what we'll be discussing in the first hour, the politics of the day. And in the second hour we are looking at matters higher education, where of course 55% of jobs in Kenya by 2030 will require digitization or even digital skills. That is what we'll be looking at in the second hour, and our universities or learning institutions well equipped to move with this trend. Well, that is on the second hour, but on this first hour we are talking matters politics. Thank you so much for making time, and remember, you can be part of the conversation, your comments, suggestion, or even where you are watching us from on our social media spaces. My name is Njue, and Lensa Odingo will be my co-host on the bottom of your screen. We'll be handling the sign language interpreter for this live program. Well, to kick us off, let's talk about matters politics. What has been shaping politics in the country? We are looking at just a few days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Then, of course, the ODM leader, Raila Odinga, will be talking about his fifth jab, or stab, if you like, at the presidency. Well, a lot is at stake, if you ask me, and we will be looking at that. Of course, the DP, or if you like, the deputy president, is also continuing with his campaign trails. He was in Njue for 3 days, just a week after the ODM leader was there, of course, to try and woo, or as they like to put it, climb the mountain. That is part of the conversation that we'll be having. And of course, we cannot ignore that Oka are also making headwinds when it comes to matters politics. All that and much, much more. And to join me, to help me have a spin on this, is Jacob Kioko, who is a political and governance expert. Na Kioko,
yes,
thank you so much for making time. Na karibu sana.
Thank you.
Indeed, it's not a first time, the good thing. We've done this before.
I'm not a first timer.
Before actually we started this show, you've showed me some interesting things of which I would like you to share with Kenyans, so that we may know exactly where the Kenya is headed to, and when we talk about politics. But first things first, even before we look at the politics of the day, is IEBC, according to you, if you ask me, is IEBC failing on their mandate? Because IEBC are the one mandated by law to announce when the campaigns should start and how the campaigns will be conducted in the run-up to the 2022 succession politics. But as we see now, they're supposed to announce it sometimes next year. But as we see now, Kenya is already in a political mood. Actually, we wouldn't be having this political conversation if the politicians were not politicking. Is IEBC failing, according to you?
Well, that is an understatement. They have failed completely. Because if what is happening is not politics, then how does politics look like? According to me, we are at top notch on politicking and politics. So when finally the time comes, which is set up by law, I don't know what the situation will be then, because the storm already being experienced throughout the country is as if elections are going to be held next week.
Yes.
So if the IEBC, I don't know whether to check it down or I don't know how, but they failed on day one to let the matter go off before the time. And if the law is to be followed, surely, I don't understand.
But you see how they are doing this. They have actually they are camouflaging. ODM leader Raila Odinga talked about, I'm not politicking. I'm just I have this campaign, small campaign of Azimio la Umoja, where I'm trying to unite Kenyans. I'm not doing politics. Ruto said, the DP said, well, I'm just, you know, making inroads in places to see what Kenyans are ailing from. But when we hear what these people talk about, that is clear politics.
It has absolutely nothing to do with getting people's opinions. It is outright campaigns, according to me. And if that is not campaign, then what is campaign?
Indeed, of course. They must also come up with something and say that we are also trying to unite Kenyans. But IEBC, it's mandated by law. And Kenyans, if we look at the laws that we have in the country, we have very good laws, but the implementation is the problem. What exactly is ailing us when it comes to this? And can IEBC bite?
Well, it may be able to bite, but not in this section. In this area, they have no tooth.
Their hands are tied.
Not a single tooth. They watch it. If they listen to the news, if they watch the rallies, as you and I do, then when somebody says, I'm not campaigning, when actually, in reality, he says that actually in the campaign gathering, I'm not campaigning, but the crowd is there and he's telling them what he's going to do when he's elected. And he denies that he's not campaigning. Then I don't understand what it is that is going on.
Okay, away from that, Ruto was in Njue for 3 days, just a week after ODM leader was there. Was it perhaps to try and dilute the effect that ODM leader had there when he had a 2-day, actually he did 3, but the ODM leader did 2. Perhaps it was like to dilute what the ODM leader was, for lack of a better word, climbing the mountain?
Well, the two parties are in a thorough mess. Because as a marketer, I would not do that. If your competitor, comes to Nairobi and presents his market offerings, and the following morning, you are there trying to undo that, none of you benefits. So the two parties are in complete confusion. The way, according to me, they should do their thing, because Mount Kenya region is not the only region in the country that is holding votes. They should not be chasing each other. You are here today and tomorrow, I am on your footprints. The dust has not even settled.
Yes.
So I think the desperation for winning the election is overpronounced. One wonders, because it's only one candidate who is going to ascend to the presidency. What happens to the loser? What will he do if the pitch of the matter is that high? What happens when finally the election results are announced and I am a loser and you are the winner? What will happen? I think we should get ready for eventualities, because it's only one Kenyan who is going to ascend to the presidency. So what happens to the others? And that is part of why I'm here, to try and dissuade, to turn the attention of Kenyans to from if it is the presidency one is campaigning for, or the MPship, or the governorship, whatever elective seat one may be campaigning for, it should not be taken as the equivalent of life. Because we have other things which those able Kenyans can do for this nation, instead of fighting tooth and nail, as if I'm not elected, I'm not going to be alive tomorrow, when you have the ability and the knowledge and everything that is required to lead this country in other areas. And that is why I'm here. I would want to dissuade those who feel, unless I am elected the governor, then there's no world.
Okay, and of course we will look even at the governors who are already looking for other seats. But still on the rally in Njue, the DP did accuse the judiciary of, for lack of a better word, and actually it has formed part of headlines today and yesterday, using the judiciary to settle political scores. That is quite an accusation, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's a major accusation, and I'm surprised. What is going wrong at the top hierarchy of our administration? Now, we have just said the IEBC has failed. Yet, when people are told, you may be not doing the right thing, it's not time yet to campaign, in the campaign rally, somebody says, I'm not campaigning. I mean, I don't understand what this is. Now, the judiciary, I am not quite versed with what the law says, but according to me, unless they are hidden matters, the judiciary should steer the election process, in a straight line. According to me, unless, and I repeat that, unless there are hidden matters which are not seen from the naked eye, unless that is what is being gotten at, my opinion would be that the judiciary should steer the country clear.
Yeah, because looking at 2 weeks ago, they were seeking for recusal of the Chief Justice from the Election Preparedness Committee. Now they're accusing the judiciary, the same judiciary, of allowing people to settle political scores through the judiciary, and they will, if at all, they will be aggrieved. They will still seek the same judiciary, which right now they are accusing of the state of using machinery that is meant for Kenyans instead of serving Kenyans. They are doing politics. That is what the brigade is talking about.
True. This is because we have the election losing fear. It is holding us by the throat to the point in which you don't even know what you are saying. Every day you have a different interpretation of the same thing. And it's a question of fear. Whoever loses, then it's like he's dead. And that is why the intensified ahead of time campaigns. Because I must be the winner. If I don't win, I think it will be the end of life for some. So this is the tension that I would want to address, because there is need for people to live natural lives. There is need for this nation to be led right. Who is going to lower the temperatures when finally the final results are announced? Whoever loses will accuse somebody of doing the wrong thing. Now, if that is the trend, then there is a problem. And that is why there is absolute need now and forward, before the date of elections come, we must lower down this. And the only way is to address our leaders' fears of losing the election. If there is an option, if you lose the election, and there is always this statement of the winner takes it all. Of course, the winner.
That is the current situation.
The winner will take it all because it's a contest. You cannot win and then you are given half. The winner must take it all.
Which actually is a problem that we need to sort out.
That is right, and that is why that is my reason for being here.
Okay, we will discuss about the winners and the take it all, because of course the BBI had talked about it was supposed to cure all that, but that's a topic for another day. But let's look at Jubilee Party. It was supposed to hold its NDC the same day the head of state was supposed to address the nation. It postponed it and said that we are going to hold that some other time. Yesterday, even the Speaker of the National Assembly did talk about the NDC and said, we've never done this since we took over power. So there's no point. People have left the party. The Speaker himself has also left the party. Looking at the governors, they are aligning themselves to other parties, and we know very well that a lot of Jubilee MPs do not ascribe to Jubilee as we speak. Is there any need for a party like the ruling party, Jubilee, to hold the NDC?
Now, has there been a political party in the country at all? According to me, no. These are tribal groupings.
But somebody would argue KANU has been there for more than 40 years. So.
It could, it could, but it was alone in the show most of the time. And I'm not disputing, I'm not saying KANU is a weak party. It is there, but most of what we have so far seen are tribal groupings. And that is why they are disintegrating, a free fall. And that is why the ANC, NASA collapsed. Jubilee is in the same trend. I'm not quite convinced that whether Oka is firm enough not to start disintegrating into pieces.
And actually, what you've said about there's no party that has actually weathered the storm, it's a good thing that we are joined by Saddam, Saddam Gashie, who is the chair of the Democratic Party Youth League. Of course, they will argue Democratic Party has been there for eons. Karibu sana.
Asante.
And thanks for making time for us.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry I didn't keep time. Looking forward to having a very sober discussion.
Indeed. And of course, we are looking at the politics of the day, and it's a good thing that you've come. We were looking at the politics, first things first. IEBC is the one mandated to announce when the campaign should begin or should commence in the country till to the run-up of the 2022 general polls.
Yes.
But they're just saying that people have started already politicking, and the candidates are talking about, no, we are trying to unite Kenyans. Do you think IEBC is failing on this mandate? Because it's like we're having elections next month.
Thank you very much. I wouldn't say per se that IEBC is failing. Kenyans have a tendency of practicing high voltage politics, and these coming elections will be no different. It is the culture of the current politicians to do this way ahead. Politics started as early as 2017, immediately after the last election. It is not something that we'll be happy of doing, but we really need to create room for change.
And looking at the way things are going, is that of course people are accusing the government of using state machinery to try and push the agenda of one candidate. Case in point, the DP brigade yesterday accused the judiciary of actually using the judiciary to settle political scores.
I don't think that's true. No one is using state machinery. All that we have is like the Tanga wing started their campaign, I think, earlier than the rest of the country. But when you are in a track race and you are the only one running, you are as well as the first one, also you are the last one. But now we have a clear opportunity where the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga has started his campaigns. My party leader, Honorable Justin Muturi, has also started doing the rounds around the country. What you are going to see, we are going to really have a charged political season where Kenyans will be given an opportunity to elect from the wide range of political candidates who will be vying for the presidency. All we can say, like, Kenyans need to put a benchmark. We in the Democratic Party use our benchmark as integrity, where if you have an iota of corruption or your name is mentioned in any corruption case, we will not give you an opportunity in the Democratic Party. And I encourage young people across the country, home and abroad, to come and take leadership position in this country, because we are 75% of this populous nation. My party leader yesterday on the Monday report at Citizen TV, he alluded to the fact that he is encouraging young people to join the Democratic Party, and he promised 70% of all his appointments and his entire government will comprise of youthful people. Young people of this country, we are educated, we are informed. All that we lack is an opportunity, whereas we go look for job opportunities, and what puts us off is the issue of experience. Where will we get this experience? So we are urging young people this coming political season to take up the leadership mantle. Let us not fear. And it is very sad that the Office of Registrar of Political Parties 2 days ago, through its leadership, I think Madam Derito said that she will, after the party primaries, people who feel that they were edged out of the primaries unfairly will not have an opportunity to go it on an independent ticket. It is very sad. With the Democratic Party, we are pushing and seeking dialogue with the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties to try and amend that clause. It is really sad, because young people or people from the marginalized communities or people who are less privileged, a guessing point. When I have a young man on the lectures of Lake Victoria, who is denied an opportunity to vie as an independent candidate, whereas he was unfairly edged out. It is one thing. It calls for dialogue and wider consultations.
Indeed. And still on, you've talked about your party leader, who happens to be the Speaker of the National Assembly. He was sponsored into Parliament by the Jubilee Party. Yesterday, he did allude to the fact that there's no point for Jubilee to have the NDC, that's the National Delegates Conference, because looking at the party, it's like almost everybody has left. Do you concur?
No, Jubilee is still a party. What has transpired is that majority of its membership have walked out. On the same breath, majority of its officials and party structures are there on interim basis. We didn't have an opportunity to elect the leadership of that party. All these people, including the SG, all these other people are there on the capacity of interim basis. What my party leader meant is that when one pronounces himself that he's going to have the Jubilee NDC, that's not accurate. It's a bit misguided and a bit pedestrian. That's what he meant. But Jubilee is still a strong party. It's a party which sponsored my party leader from 2017 to now to be the speaker. On 2013, he was sponsored by TNA. Now, when he uttered those utterances, he really meant good, that we need to face reality. Let's face reality. Thank you. Let's not bury our heads in the sand, and we need to be alive to the fact that Jubilee officials are there on an interim basis. The only members of the Jubilee party we have maybe are the MCAs, members of parliament, senators, women rep, maybe, and the president. Yeah.
Indeed. And perhaps, Kioko, let's talk about the options that we have. We also have OCA. In as much as the two front runners actually doing their campaigns, OCA is also doing their campaigns. And somebody said that these guys could be the swing vote, you know? And whoever they decide to back, if they decide to back someone, has a very high chance of becoming Kenya's next president.
Well, my opinion, as I've just expressed in the beginning, is that we have a real problem, a real challenge with political parties in the country. Most of them are tribal groupings. They are not actually political parties. And that is why when they disintegrate, they fall to nothingness. So the key thing here, as my colleague has just alluded to, the key thing here is to try and not to politicize everything, but to try and come up with policies and ideologies which would help the youth, the women, the marginalized, instead of holding on to the OCA or to Jubilee or to whatever other party that you may want to, you are an aspirant in. My opinion is that what counts most is what Kenyans will benefit from the lineup that you are here emphasizing, whether or not OCA back somebody or among themselves, choose a candidate to run for the presidency. It boils down to the first thing that I said. It's only one Kenyan who is going to ascend to the presidency,
and the rest are going to be left out in the cold.
To
those
the rest.
Okay, you said you have a solution for that. Yes. Of course, I wouldn't want to preempt that, but looking at what we had been talking about, your party leader talk about the NDC, and of course talking about we need to face the reality that Jubilee is not what it used to be. And away from that, you talked about something that your party leader said and hasn't been used by all other political leaders, talking about 70% being of his government, that is Justin Muturi, if he becomes president. 70% of all the positions in government will go to the youths.
Yes.
Well, we've heard that the youth are the future. We've heard a lot about how governments will do about the youth, but we've never actualized that in Kenya. What makes him different from what we've had before?
It is true that...
And what about the marginalized, what the percentage with the reform, the women, affirmative seats as well?
It is very true that the youth have largely been used as pawns in this political chess game, where people have perfected the art of cutting corners with the future and the prosperity of the youth in this country. My party leader yesterday alluded to the fact that 70% of his government will be youthful. By this we mean young people, young, educated, informed youths who are willing to take this country to the next step. What we are having today, my friend, we have a very disturbed young generation, a very intimidated, youthful people who feel that they have nothing to offer to this great republic. That's why you have very many cases of suicide, people being suicidal. We have high cases, even in schools right now. Young people, teens, are burning up schools. The solution to this is we should engage these young people, these young teenagers, and ask them what is happening. Tell us what is happening. You may not know about it, but rumors have it that these young people are under pressure. They are not used to being to school till 21st of December. Such things, these boarding facilities are overcrowded, where you have principals and head teachers packing this institution at the expense of the education quality of the children, where they're only interested in what they pocket. Coming to what we are talking about, the curriculum development of this country, we need to evaluate since birth of a Kenyan up to his adult age of attaining his adulthood age of 18. We need to evaluate his growth and the education pattern. We can't have young people who have really toiled, gone to school, and after completion, even the tertiary education, universities and colleges, we are stranded. We are equally the same as a person who dropped out in school, maybe at the secondary or primary level. We will not encourage people dropping out of school, but there's no difference today from a graduate and somebody who didn't finish even high school. We are all equal. We are languishing in poverty. Our parents used lots of money to educate us, okay? Like me, my parents sold all his cows to make sure that I attend the university education. It is very sad, and majority of other Kenyans, it is very sad when you have this caliber of people languishing in poverty. They are helpless. When they look back at our parents depended upon us. Go to school, educate you. Maybe you'll one day return the favor that I sold my cow to educate you. We have a challenge, and this challenge, as my party leader alluded to, boils down to corruption, where you have an individual whose academic credentials are wanting, but ends up getting the job opportunity. Why? Because he was able to buy this opportunity. What ails this country, even in terms of the professional growth and the professional patterns, is the sense of corruption. Corruption is the biggest dragon that impedes the growth of any country, particularly the growth of this country called Kenya. Even in the sports sector, you have a young person who is very talented, knows how to dribble and play football, but he can't join any big team like Tusker, Gor Mahia. Why? He's not able to buy his way into the team. That's why you have very ridiculous individual getting positions at the expense of well-educated and groomed people. So my prayer, we as a country, we have an opportunity to change the course and the path that we are in. Okay. If you have an opportunity, let's grab it.
Indeed. Kioko, do you, his party leader, who is vying for the president, Justin Muturi, he talked about 70% of his government will be youth, but we've had the same thing. All the leaders talking about they're going to be looking at the youth, they're going to look at the youth issues. Of course, let's give credit where it's due. Of course, we've seen in the government quite some young PSs, some young CASs, but is that enough?
Absolutely not, and that's why he's a young man, going by age. Listen to me. I have a solution for you. Because no matter how hard we fight, unless we expand and broaden our source of creating national wealth and distributing it equitably in society, we labor in vain.
The youth will just remain that.
They will be there without jobs. And
they'll be used when it comes to campaigns.
Let alone when it comes to campaigns. They will be radicalized, and we have a bigger problem when they are radicals than what we have now. So this is a time bomb which must be diffused. And we cannot diffuse it by sheer verbosity. No, we must have a program that attends to the needs of the youth, as well as, I don't know whether you are young, as well as me, I'm not in that group.
Unfortunately, I'm not in the youth bracket now.
Yeah, okay. Yes. You, like me and other people, need also to have something substantial in life. And that is why I'm here, as I've repeated that more than 5 times now. Yeah. Now, my name is Jacob Kioko, and as I told you, and I'm a marketer by profession. And for a period of 16 years, I developed an innovation, which I call the dichotomous universal growth web innovation, DUGWI.
Okay, that's quite complex, if you ask me.
It's not complex. Marketing is comprised of 4 main parts.
You're saying in relations to what you're talking about, this is what is going to offer
that is what
perhaps some bargaining chip when it comes to politics that we are having.
Hold it there. It is not in politics alone. Life is not all about politics.
Okay.
Life is about living. Not everybody is going to be elected an MCA and name it. If 75% of our population is youth, and we have how many ministries? How many MCAs do we have? They are not all going to fit in there.
Yes.
So what happens to those who are not going to fit in there?
Okay.
That is the key thing. That we need to broaden and lengthen our horizon of creation of national wealth. And the only solution that I have at the moment, I don't think we have too much time, if the camera can pick this diagram, so that I may explain it to Kenyans as we progress.
What exactly, in a nutshell, because it seems quite complex.
It is not complex at all. It's not complex at all.
Colonialism, enslavement.
It's not complex at all.
Negative politics. Okay.
Yeah. All that I'm saying is, if we could solve our problems, and these are the problems, then we are through with a lot of problems, with a lot of things. The issue here is, we were enslaved. After enslavement, we got our independence. And after getting independence, it dawned on us suddenly that we had other problems to deal with. One was tribalism, socio-economic imbalances, negative politics, and above all, lack of investment capital. That forms our nucleus national problem, those 4 variables.
Okay.
Now, if we could attend to those 4 variables, get a solution to them, then we are through with a lot of things. What we have been discussing here will not be solved by sheer verbs, adjectives and verbs and all that. Okay. We need something tangible to lead the nation on. I'm not running for any seat, but I have something for everybody. Now, tribalism was something that was instilled on us by the colonial government because they put their administration boundaries along tribal lines for fear that a united African front will rebel against colonial rule. Now, they developed only those parts of the country which they perceived to hold the highest economic potential and left the rest of it, the rest of the country.
Because of the interest of time, can we kindly narrow it down? Because I can see negative politics. That is something that actually...
I'm going to be very brief on all 4 points. Now, on top of that, we have negative politics today, which sprouted from the socio-economic problems planted on us by the colonial government. So the solution here would be to broaden our economic base. And how do we do that? The DUGWI innovation holds that whatever item you purchase from the shop, you'll be afforded a retainer incentive. And instead of redeeming your retainer incentive, the cumulative accrual of those retainer incentives will now establish a base to raise investment capital for everybody.
Okay.
Now, once that investment capital has been afforded to every youth, then from that point, we can now talk about so many number of youth are going to go into politics. So many are going to go into industry and other related economic engagements, because everybody now has investment capital, and that is the most key element in all the discussions that we have now and all future.
Okay. I'm looking at negative politics. Yeah. How is it kindly gonna be assisting? Because indeed, you talked about a lot of parties in Kenya are inclined towards ethnicity, and it's something that we have had to deal with for years. How is it this economic model, as it seems?
Yeah.
How can it help us? And especially now, we have a national youth chairman of a political party here.
Yeah. Now, this innovation this diagram does not cover everything.
Okay.
But negative politics is going to be killed off by infusing the concept of market segmentation strategy into politics.
Okay. In simpler words?
Yeah, in simpler words, we are going to have to create a situation in which I do not campaign alongside my kinsmen. I campaign alongside the fact that everybody is going to be empowered. Yes? Okay. And then when I come to Nyeri, I'll say, this is what the Nyeri people want. The money is there because I will have raised it after empowering everybody individually and all of us collectively.
Okay.
This is what is going to go to Nyeri.
Perhaps you can hear from the chairman.
Yeah.
How can we curb? Because youths are going to be used both positively and negatively. Sorry to use that word, because we've seen it being used to throw stones. We've seen them being used in a good way to conduct
civic education.
Exactly, in matters like civic education and also in campaigns.
Thank you very much. You see, negative ethnicity, as you just said, is a bad thing. But also our colonialists did the boundaries demarcation in terms of tribal gatherings or groupings. Remember, every politics is local, okay? And all these political parties must have an area of origin. That's why you have maybe like, we have, for example, ODM, its roots are in the Nyanza region. We have UDA, its roots are in the Rift Valley. We have Democratic Party, its roots are in Central and the Mount Kenya region. Every politics is local. You can't start a political parties in the skies or in a vacuum. The challenge now comes making it have a national outlook.
Yes.
Because you see, among the requirements of one being a party is it must have offices in more than half of the counties. This means offices in more than 24. Now, if we have parties in more than 24 office branches in more than 24 counties, it now becomes a national party. What my senior alluded that the greatest challenge impeding the youths, giving it a hindrance in growth, is lack of credit, where he calls it the investment capital. It's very true. 7 out of 10 of the small and medium enterprises are the SMEs. 7 out of 10 businesses are SMEs. Now, SMEs lack a proper legislative bill that will in the constitution where it safeguards the SMEs. There's only a blanket bill for businesses where if you want to get maybe credit from a bank, you only need to produce the business permits, KRA. But remember, 7 out of 10 are SMEs. I have the mama mbogas, I have maybe people who vend eggs in town, we have the people who do like the barber shops, the mini barber shops. These are the people who run this economy. And as I said, 7 out of 10 businesses in these countries are SMEs. What now this calls needs to be done, we need to have a bill that safeguards them also in terms of operationalizing their businesses, also in terms of them getting credit from banks. These types of businesses will not have all the things required for one to get credit from a bank. Now, what we in the Democratic Party are calling, first we are saying we will have a proper bill that safeguards the SMEs. We in the Democratic Party will empower the youth by ensuring that government does not borrow locally. If government borrows locally, most banks feel secure doing businesses with
a lot
government.
of youths have become locked out when it
so
comes
for
to,
me and you, if we want to go and have the same credit from a bank, it is next to impossible. Why? The banks have no credit to give to you and me. Instead, they're giving all their credit facilities to government. So we are going to make sure that our government does not borrow locally, impeding the young people. Next thing that will ensure that we ensure that young people get opportunities and investments capital, we are going to make sure that we give international investors, local investors, credit incentives and credit rebates to ensure that they invest locally.
Okay. Let's now shift focus, because of the interest of time, we need to pick up the pace. On this coming Friday, that will be on 10th, the former Premier, Raila Odinga, will be unveiling what most have talked about, his 5th stab at the presidency. What are some of the key highlights we expect, Kioko?
Well, I wouldn't want to go too much into politics. My sole interest is to empower Kenyans.
Okay.
And if the premier, the former premier, is going to unveil his 5th job at the presidency, I would expect him to pay his total attention to the economy of this country, because unless he does that, then nothing is going to work for him. Whoever wants to ascend to the top seat must attend to the needs, the economic needs of the people. It's not the youth alone. What about you and I? What about him if he does win the elections? So it is the broad spectrum of the economy of the country which must be attended to, not in sections. Everybody. Now, the most experienced people are you. You said you are already above the youth bracket. So your services are needed most highly because you are most experienced. So what I'm here to emphasizing is the economy of the country must be broadened so that you too are not left out. Those who are your seniors and maybe with more experience in business, actually those are the people running the economy of the country, may also get that credit that I'm emphasizing. So it's not the youth alone. The youth, yes, because they are vulnerable. The women, yes, because they too are vulnerable. But those who are running the economy of the country today are you and those who have more experience, and they too should be empowered.
Okay. Of course, you are a politician, so what would you expect the former premier, having been in government for quite a while and also in the cold for some years? What would you expect? Because one of the key things that is ailing this country is that you find politicians are still doing business with government, which is actually total contradiction of what it should be. And that is why sometimes you find opportunities like the youth, as you've said, don't get them. Perhaps what are some of the key highlights you expect him as a politician?
Definitely he will surely have, everybody's eager to hear what the former Prime Minister has to say. He's a man who commands a huge following. We surely expect his announcements to change the political landscape of this country. Among the things that I expect him to mention will be if he's vying or if he's going to endorse anyone else. Number two, we expect, if he's vying, we expect him to tell us categorically what are his agenda in this country, on the backdrop that we have problems in the economy, we have the large debt, we have the youth unemployment, we have the dragon of corruption. We expect him to give us in details what will be his roadmap and his blueprint in terms of progress of this country. It goes without saying, he commands a huge following. So any serious politician will be keen to listen to his utterances, so that, you know, it's about positioning and realigning. So whatever he's going to announce will definitely have a huge impact on the political landscape of this country. Okay,
and indeed, I know this is preempting perhaps, but it's something that a lot of Kenyans are waiting for and are eagerly waiting to see of any politician who is gunning for the top seat, including your party leader. The running mate dilemma. How is it expected to shape the politics of the day?
Well, in large measure, it is going to shape the politics of the day. But as I have kept repeating, let us not attach everything to politics. There is a lot more for this country than politics. If you were empowered, if I were empowered, if he was empowered and everybody were empowered, you would not actually mind who ascends to the top seat. As long as you have peace to do your business, it won't matter. The key issue here is empowerment, and across board. Okay. It is not a question of perhaps roll back to the tribal thing. Yes. And then we get into a mess.
Okay, the former premier has not officially declared. That is what we and a lot of people are expecting for him to do, because he has been talking about the future of Kenya when he ascends to power, the Azimio la Umoja, the 6,000. So we know very well that he could be, is more likely that he will be running for or gunning for the top seat. The running with your party leader is vying. Have you already settled for perhaps
no. Yeah.
It's too early?
It's a bit too early. You know, in politics, one day is a long time. But also on the same breath, the running mate will surely affect and upset the balance of politics. When you choose a running mate from this region, you definitely will do it at the expense of another region. Having said that, political parties in this country have always been personal properties, where you have an individual who runs the shot in the entire political party, appoints the secretary general, appoints all those structures are from his own volition or are his appointments. What now this brings is you have leadership that affects policies. Okay, if I'm the party leader of party X and I appoint you as my SG, him as my vice chair, someone else as the treasurer, it means that I'm the one who will influence policies of this party. Okay, he who pays the piper, okay, calls the tunes. So that is a very disadvantaged route or path that this country should take. It should be the alternative, where political parties from the NEC and the national managing committees set the policies, and the party leader must abide by these policies. Now, policies should influence leadership, not leadership influencing policies.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Your final words. We need to cross over for the second interview. We need to cross over to Karen, where we forming basis for a second interview. Your final words.
Yes. I would want to let all Kenyans know that there is a solution to the problems that we are faced with, as long as you listen to the policies and ideologies contained in the Dubu Innovation, because it's for the benefit of everybody. Where I listened to 27 years ago, Kenya would have taken the position now occupied by China in as far as financing the development of the African continent is.
Indeed. And thank you, gentlemen. And unfortunately, we are out of time.